Ladies, just listen to me. I need you to listen to me today. What happens when a younger man finds himself emotionally captivated by an older woman? Ladies, the signs are everywhere, but most of you completely miss them. Society tells us age gaps work one way, but the heart doesn't follow social scripts. Today, I'm going to reveal the exact 11 phrases that slip from a younger man's lips when his heart has quietly, sometimes desperately, begun to belong to her. Because when a younger man falls deeply for an older woman, his words become windows into an emotional world most people never get to see. Stay with me until the end, because these aren't the obvious declarations you'd expect. In fact, they're often so subtle, so seemingly casual, that women dismiss them as friendly conversation. But if you know what to listen for, these words reveal the truth. His actions might not be brave enough to show just yet. Here's what makes this situation so complex. Younger men who find themselves drawn to older women often experience a unique form of emotional confusion. Why? Because everything they've been taught about attraction, about masculinity, about who they should desire suddenly doesn't apply. They're navigating uncharted emotional territory, often feeling things they didn't expect to feel for someone they didn't expect to fall for. You might find yourself questioning every interaction. Was that compliment genuine admiration, or is he just being respectful? When he seeks your advice, is it because he values your wisdom, or because he's looking for reasons to connect? You start analyzing every text, every glance, every moment of laughter, wondering if there's something deeper happening, or if you're just seeing what you want to see. Research published in the Journal of Evolutionary Psychology reveals something fascinating about these dynamics. When younger men develop genuine feelings for older women, their expression patterns shift dramatically from typical masculine communication styles. They become more emotionally articulate, more vulnerable in their language choices, and significantly more likely to seek emotional rather than physical validation. This isn't conscious behavior. It's their psychological response to a connection that challenges their preconceived notions about love and attraction. The emotional disconnect becomes even more pronounced because of societal expectations. While the world celebrates older man, younger woman relationships, the reverse dynamic carries stigma, judgment, and assumptions that can make a younger man hesitant to express his true feelings openly. So, instead of direct declarations, his emotions leak out through carefully chosen words, through phrases that test the waters, through language that reveals his heart while protecting his vulnerability. This is why so many older women in these situations feel like they're reading between lines that might not even exist. You hear tenderness in his voice and wonder if it's genuine. You notice the way he lights up around you and question whether you're imagining the connection. You feel the emotional intimacy building and worry that you're projecting your own desires onto innocent interactions. But let me tell you something crucial, ladies. When a younger man's heart truly belongs to an older woman, there is no completely hiding it. His subconscious betrays him. The way he speaks to you, around you, about you becomes distinctly different from how he communicates with anyone else in his life. His words carry weight, intention, and emotional depth that he might not even fully understand himself. Understanding these verbal cues matters more than you realize. When you know what to listen for, you stop second guessing every interaction. You stop wondering if his attention is genuine or if you're just a temporary fascination. You stop doubting the connection that might be right in front of you. Most importantly, you can make informed decisions about your own emotional investment based on clear signals rather than wishful thinking. There's something else that might surprise you. A comprehensive study conducted by the International Association for Relationship Research found that nearly 40% of men between ages 25 and 35 reported having experienced profound emotional attraction to women significantly older than themselves. But here's the telling part. When asked about expressing these feelings, over 70% admitted to never openly acknowledging them. The reasons they cited tell the whole story. Fear of rejection, concern about being seen as immature, worry about not being taken seriously, and anxiety about social judgment. So instead of straightforward confessions, they communicate through coded language. They express depth through seemingly casual comments. They reveal attachment through everyday conversations that carry hidden emotional weight. And that's where your awareness becomes crucial. If you can recognize these moments when his guard drops, when his carefully constructed emotional walls slip just enough to let truth escape, you'll understand exactly what's happening in his heart. Because younger men might hide their deepest feelings, but their words will always find ways to reveal them. Now, let's explore what those revealing phrases actually sound like when a younger man is falling in love with an older woman. These aren't the cliche romantic declarations you might expect. No, these are much more subtle, more psychologically complex, because they emerge when he is not trying to impress you. They surface when he's simply being authentic. The first phrase that reveals everything is this: you make everything make sense. Most people don't realize how profound this statement is when it comes from a younger man to an older woman. It's not about intellectual understanding. It's about emotional clarity. What he's really saying is that your presence brings order to his inner chaos, that your energy helps him understand parts of himself he's been struggling to figure out. For a younger man, especially one navigating the complexities of early adulthood, finding someone who makes life feel clearer, more purposeful, more meaningful is revolutionary. When he tells you this, he's acknowledging that you're not just someone he enjoys spending time with. You're someone who helps him make sense of his own emotional landscape. You're a stabilizing force in ways he might not have experienced before. This phrase often comes with a slight vulnerability in his voice, sometimes followed by nervous laughter, because he's revealed more than he intended. But that moment of emotional transparency tells you everything. You've become his emotional compass, and that's not a role he assigns lightly or temporarily. Other variations of this might sound like, I never thought about it that way before you, or you helped me understand myself better, or everything feels clearer when I talk to you. These aren't just compliments about your wisdom or insight. They're admissions that your presence has become emotionally essential to his sense of stability and self-understanding. The psychological research on this is compelling. Dr. Sarah Martinez, a leading expert in cross-generational relationships, found that younger men in love with older women often report a sense of emotional grounding that they describe as unlike anything they've experienced with peers their own age. This grounding becomes so significant that they begin to crave the clarity and peace that comes with the older woman's presence. When he says you make everything make sense, he's telling you that you've become his emotional anchor. And anchors aren't easily abandoned or forgotten. They become permanent fixtures in the landscape of someone's heart. The second revealing phrase is, I've never told anyone this before. When a younger man begins sharing secrets, fears, dreams, or vulnerabilities that he's never spoken aloud, it signals something profound. It means you've created a space of such safety and acceptance that his usual emotional barriers have completely dissolved. Most younger men, especially those still establishing their identity and place in the world, are highly protective of their inner thoughts. They're often still figuring out who they are, what they want, how they fit into the world around them. For them to open up about deeply personal matters requires an extraordinary level of trust and emotional connection. This phrase usually precedes revelations about family struggles, personal insecurities, childhood experiences, or future fears that he's never felt safe sharing with anyone else. The key word here is never. It's not that he hasn't shared with many people. It's that he's never shared with anyone. And that makes you the first person he's trusted with his emotional truth. What makes this even more significant in the context of a younger man and older woman dynamic is that it often represents a breaking away from the masculine conditioning that tells him to handle things alone, to be strong, to never show weakness. Your presence has given him permission to be vulnerable in ways his peer relationships haven't allowed. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that men who feel emotionally safe enough to share previously hidden thoughts and experiences report significantly deeper attachment bonds. When he tells you things he's never told anyone, his brain is literally creating new neural pathways that associate you with emotional safety and intimate connection. The third phrase that reveals his heart is, you're different from everyone else. Now, this might sound like a generic compliment, but when it comes from a younger man to an older woman, it carries specific psychological weight. What he's really acknowledging is that you represent something entirely new in his romantic and emotional experience. Think about it from his perspective. Most of his romantic experiences have likely been with women his own age, women navigating similar life stages, similar uncertainties, similar levels of emotional development. You represent maturity, stability, emotional intelligence, and life experience that feels foreign and deeply attractive to him. When he says you're different, he's not making a casual observation. He's acknowledging that you've disrupted his entire understanding of what he finds attractive, what he needs emotionally, what kind of connection he actually craves. You've shown him a different way of being in relationship, a different kind of emotional intimacy, and he's responding to that difference with fascination and attachment. This phrase often comes with specific examples. He might say, you're different because you actually listen, or you're different because you don't play games, or you're different because you know who you are. Each of these specifics reveals what he's been missing in other relationships and what he's found in his connection with you. Dr. Michael Thompson's research on age gap relationships found that younger men often report feeling emotionally elevated by older women partners, describing the relationship as expanding their emotional capacity and understanding of intimacy. When he tells you you're different, he's acknowledging this elevation and the impact it's having on him. The fourth phrase is particularly revealing. I can't stop thinking about you. While this might sound like something any infatuated person would say, when it comes from a younger man to an older woman, it often carries additional complexity. It's not just attraction he's describing. It's preoccupation with someone who has fundamentally shifted his emotional world. Younger men, especially those in their 20s and early 30s, are often focused on career building, social positioning, and establishing their independence. For someone to become so mentally and emotionally consuming that he can't stop thinking about them represents a significant shift in priorities and attention. This phrase usually emerges when he's trying to explain why he's been distracted, why he's been reaching out more frequently, or why he seems different around you. What he's really saying is that you've become a constant presence in his mental and emotional space, that thoughts of you interrupt his daily routines and regular focus. The psychological implication is profound. When someone becomes a persistent mental presence, it indicates that they've moved from being an external relationship to becoming part of someone's internal emotional landscape. You're not just someone he spends time with. You've become someone he carries with him mentally and emotionally throughout his day. This type of preoccupation, according to attachment theory research, often indicates the formation of a deep emotional bond that goes beyond casual attraction or temporary infatuation. When he can't stop thinking about you, it's because his emotional system has identified you as significant, important, and worthy of mental energy and attention. The fifth phrase that reveals his attachment is, you understand me in a way no one else does. This statement goes beyond intellectual understanding. It's about emotional recognition, about feeling seen and accepted at a core level that he might never have experienced before. For younger men, especially those still developing their sense of identity and self-worth, finding someone who truly understands them emotionally and psychologically is transformative. Most of their relationships up to this point have likely been more surface level, focused on shared activities, physical attraction, or social compatibility, rather than deep emotional understanding. When he tells you that you understand him uniquely, he's acknowledging that you see past his exterior presentation to something deeper and more authentic. You recognize his potential, his struggles, his dreams, and his fears in ways that make him feel truly known. This kind of recognition is addictive and creates powerful emotional bonds. This phrase often comes after moments when you've offered insight into his behavior, validated his feelings, or helped him process complex emotions. He realizes that you're not just listening to his words, but understanding the feelings and motivations behind them. This level of emotional attunement creates intimacy that goes far beyond physical attraction. Dr. Lisa Chen's research on emotional intimacy found that men who feel deeply understood by their partners report higher levels of relationship satisfaction and emotional attachment than those who feel primarily physically or intellectually connected. When he tells you that you understand him uniquely, he's revealing the depth of emotional intimacy he's experiencing with you. The sixth revealing phrase is, I want to be better because of you. This statement is particularly significant because it indicates that you've inspired personal growth and self-improvement in ways that feel organic and motivated by love rather than obligation or pressure. Younger men are often in phases of life where they're still developing professionally, personally, and emotionally. For someone to inspire them toward positive change and growth represents a profound influence. When he tells you that you make him want to be better, he's acknowledging that your presence has elevated his standards for himself and his life. This isn't about you asking him to change or pointing out his flaws. It's about your example, your energy, your way of being in the world, inspiring him to reach for more in his own life. Maybe it's your work ethic that motivates him professionally. Maybe it's your emotional intelligence that encourages him to develop better communication skills. Maybe it's your self-confidence that inspires him to work on his own self-worth. Research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows that people who feel inspired to grow by their romantic partners report significantly higher levels of life satisfaction and relationship commitment. When he wants to be better because of you, it indicates that you've become a positive transformational force in his life. This phrase often comes with specific examples of changes he's making or goals he's pursuing because of your influence. He might talk about reading more, communicating better, taking better care of himself, or pursuing dreams he'd previously ignored. Each of these represents ways that your presence has elevated his approach to life. The seventh phrase is deeply revealing. I've never felt this mature before. This might seem like an odd thing to notice, but for a younger man involved with an older woman, the sense of emotional and psychological maturation can be profound and noticeable. What he's recognizing is that your presence, your way of handling situations, your emotional intelligence, and your life experience are elevating his own maturity level. He's finding himself responding to situations with more wisdom, patience, and emotional regulation than he's experienced before. You're not teaching him to be more mature. Your energy is bringing out mature aspects of himself that might not have been fully developed. This realization often comes as a surprise to him. He notices that he's handling conflicts differently, making more thoughtful decisions, or approaching challenges with strategies he didn't know he possessed. Your influence is helping him access more mature parts of himself. And this recognition creates a powerful association between you and his own personal growth. Dr. Robert Sternberg's research on relationship dynamics found that partners who elevate each other's emotional and psychological functioning create what he terms growth-oriented attachment, which tends to be more durable and satisfying than relationships based primarily on compatibility or attraction. When he tells you he feels more mature because of you, he's acknowledging that you've unlocked aspects of himself that he finds valuable and wants to continue developing. This creates a powerful incentive to maintain and deepen the connection with you. The eighth phrase that reveals his heart is, "You make me feel I can tell you anything." This statement indicates a level of emotional safety and acceptance that many younger men have rarely experienced in romantic relationships. Most romantic relationships in early adulthood involve some level of performance, impression management, or emotional editing. People often hide their insecurities, fears, or failures to maintain attraction or avoid judgment. When a younger man tells an older woman that he feels he can tell her anything, he's describing a relationship dynamic that feels revolutionary to him. This sense of total acceptance and emotional safety often develops because older women typically bring more emotional security, less judgment, and greater capacity for understanding human complexity to relationships. You're not shocked by his mistakes, threatened by his insecurities, or demanding that he be perfect. This creates space for authentic emotional expression that he might never have experienced before. The phrase usually emerges after he's tested this safety, by sharing something he was nervous to reveal and discovered that you responded with understanding rather than judgment. This confirmation of emotional safety often opens floodgates of communication and vulnerability that deepen the connection exponentially. Research from the Gottman Institute shows that relationships characterized by emotional safety and open communication are significantly more likely to develop into long-term committed partnerships. When he feels he can tell you anything, it indicates the development of the kind of emotional foundation that supports lasting love. The ninth revealing phrase is, "I never want this to end." While this might sound like something anyone would say in a good relationship, when it comes from a younger man to an older woman, it often carries the weight of surprise and discovery. Many younger men enter connections with older women without serious long-term expectations. They might be curious, attracted, or interested in the experience, but they don't necessarily expect to develop deep emotional attachment. When he tells you he never wants it to end, he's acknowledging that what began as one thing has transformed into something much more significant. This phrase often emerges during moments of particular intimacy or connection, when he realizes that what he's experiencing with you feels more meaningful and satisfying than relationships he thought were more appropriate or socially acceptable. He's recognizing that age, social expectations, and conventional relationship models matter less than the actual emotional connection he's found with you. Dr. Helen Fisher's research on love and attachment found that unexpected romantic connections often create more intense bonding than relationships that develop according to social expectations. When he tells you he never wants this to end, he's processing the realization that he's found something rare and valuable that he doesn't want to lose. The 10th phrase is particularly powerful. "You've changed how I see everything." This statement indicates that your relationship has become a transformative force in his worldview, affecting not just how he thinks about love and relationships, but how he approaches life in general. Younger men are often still developing their perspectives on career, family, success, and personal fulfillment. When an older woman becomes emotionally significant to them, her influence often extends far beyond the romantic relationship to affect their overall approach to life decisions and personal values. This phrase might emerge when he's talking about career choices he's reconsidering because of conversations with you, or family relationships he's approaching differently because of insights you've shared, or personal goals he's reevaluating because of the perspective you've brought to his life. The psychological research is clear. People who report that romantic partners have changed their worldview show higher levels of relationship commitment and personal life satisfaction. When he tells you you've changed how he sees everything, he's acknowledging that you've become a permanent influence on his life perspective. And finally, the 11th and most revealing phrase, "I love who I am when I'm with you." This statement encompasses everything we've been discussing. It's about emotional safety, personal growth, authentic expression, and the transformative power of being truly seen and accepted. When a younger man tells an older woman that he loves who he is with her, he's describing the experience of being in relationship with someone who brings out his best self. You're not asking him to be different. Your presence naturally elevates him to become more of who he truly is at his core. This phrase often comes as a realization, sometimes surprising him with its intensity. He recognizes that with you, he's funnier, more confident, more thoughtful, more emotionally available, or more authentic than he is in other contexts. This recognition creates a powerful desire to continue being in a relationship that brings out these valued aspects of himself. Research shows that relationships where people feel they become their best selves are associated with the highest levels of satisfaction, commitment, and longevity. When he loves who he is with you, it indicates that you've created the kind of relationship environment that supports not just love, but personal flourishing. So, let's bring this all together, ladies. These 11 phrases reveal the emotional journey of a younger man whose heart has become deeply attached to an older woman. You make everything make sense. I've never told anyone this before. You're different from everyone else. I can't stop thinking about you. You understand me in a way no one else does. I want to be better because of you. I've never felt this mature before. You make me feel like I can tell you anything. I never want this to end. You've changed how I see everything. And finally, I love who I am when I'm with you. Each of these phrases represents a different aspect of deep emotional attachment. They reveal safety, growth, understanding, transformation, and the kind of love that changes someone from the inside out. They're not casual comments or temporary infatuation. They're the language of a heart that has found something rare and meaningful. What makes these words so powerful isn't just what they say, but what they represent about the relationship dynamic you've created. They indicate that you've become more than a romantic interest. You've become a transformative presence in his life. Someone who makes him feel more like himself while simultaneously inspiring him to grow into who he could become. If you've been hearing any of these phrases, don't dismiss them as casual conversation or temporary enthusiasm. Listen carefully, because they're revealing truths about emotional attachment that go far deeper than surface attraction. They're showing you a heart that has found something it doesn't want to lose. These words emerge not when he's trying to impress you, but when he's simply being honest about the internal changes your presence has created in his life. And that honesty, that vulnerability, that willingness to reveal the depth of his emotional transformation tells you everything you need to know.